Daniel Vega, and I'm going to read a text in the Bible, Jonah 2-1. From inside the fish, Jonah prayed to the Lord his God. He said, "In my distress I called to the Lord, and he answered me. From the deep in the realm of the dead I called for help, and you listened to my cry." And you may be wondering, who was Jonah? Well, that, my friend, wants to explain the whole story of who is Jonah, and what did he do in his past life back then. It all started when Jonah was living in his home in Israel, somewhere in 200s, somewhere. And Jonah was a prophet from Jehovah. Every time when Jehovah tells him something to do, he does it. One day, while he was living in his house with his father and his sister, when he was sleeping that night, that's when he heard a voice say, "Jehovah." And that's when Jonah left up. He woke up really surprised. And he said, "God, is that you?" And he said, "Yes, it's me. I want to tell you something, Jonah, really important. I want you to go to Nineveh. So I want you to go to Nineveh to tell the people about what they're doing is wrong." And that's when Jonah got really scared. He was surprised that when God told him to go. And he said, "What? I can't go to Nineveh. That's where all the people act really violent, and they don't even know the good or bad." And Jesus said, "I know, but I don't care if you're afraid. You need to go to tell them that what is going to happen if they don't understand the good or bad." So it was decided. And then the next morning, Jonah woke up, and then he was really, really scared. He was almost ready to go until he realized, he said, "What I'm doing this is ridiculous. Why would God send me on a quest to go all the way to Nineveh just to tell everyone that don't do bad things? And plus they even act so violent there." So he had a choice. He decided to go pack his bags secretly without saying goodbye to his sister or father. And that's when he packed up his things and went. But before he could go, his sister woke up and said, "Jonah, brother, where are you going?" That's what he said. "I'm going to Nineveh." But that's when she realized that he looked nervous. And that's what she said, "You're not going to Nineveh, are you?" And Jonah said, "No, I'm sorry, sis, but I can't go." And that's when Jonah's sister said, "But you have to go. God sent you to go there to explain what's going on." And he said, "I'm sorry, but I'm going to go to a different place where someone truly needs me." So he went. And when he went, as we decided to go to the place where they have all the boats. And as we told the captain, that's what the captain told him first, that, "Where are you going?" And that's when Jonah said, "I'm going to Tarshish." And after he said, "Okay, come on, I'll take you on the upper deck." And that's when he went. And that's when he went under the ship and he slept for the whole ride, half of the ride. You see, on the way, when they were almost at the Tarshish, like when he was sleeping, that's when a half moments later, that's when a storm came by, and the sailor said, "Hey guys, what's that on the horizon?" And the captain was surprised that a storm was coming, and he said, "Everyone, lower the sails." And that's when they pulled the sails up. They pulled it up so the wind can't blow them. And that's when things got really crazy, a little shaky on the boat. The storm came by, it was too late. It was pushing their boat side to side to side. And people were shaking like, "Oh, Everybody hold on! And they hold on tight for their lives. That's when the other passenger said, "We need to wake up Jonah, tell what's going on." And that's when the captain did what he said. He went down there, down to the ship, and that's when he woke up Jonah and said, Jonah, wake up! You have to see this. There's a storm going on outside." He said, "What? There's a storm going on. Come on. So they both walked up the stairs up to the upper deck. And that's when they noticed there was like lots of rain pouring on the ship. And since there was like lots of water in the ship cannot sustain that much weight of water. And it was about to almost sink. And that's when one of the passengers said, "One of us had somehow angered God. We need to find out who did it fast." So they emptied their bags. All of them was great. All of the bags were full. But after they checked Jonah's bag, it turns out there was nothing in the bag. And it said, "He did it. He's the one who made God upset." And that's when all the passengers were surprised. They don't know what he did to make God angry. So that's when the captain told him, "What did you do to piss off God?" And that's when Jonas said, "He sent me on a quest to go all the way to Nineveh to tell the people that live in Nineveh they need to stop all the bad things. But ever since I realized they were bad people, so I decided to go to Tarshish." And that's what all the passengers said at the same time, "What?" And that's what the captain said, Why didn't you obey God's orders?" And Jonas said, "I was so scared, I didn't know what to do." And that's when all the passengers said, "We need to get this ship out of the storm now." And so that's when he said to grab the sticks and row back. They keep rowing, but the water and the wind was so strong, it kept them right in the middle of the ocean. And that's when Jonas said, I have an idea of how to stop the storm. Since this is my fault, I think I deserve to go. I think you guys should throw me off the boat so I might perish in the water." And that's when the passenger said, "We're not gonna let you die." So they decided not to listen to him and keep rowing and rowing. They tried to turn the ship, but the wind was so strong until everyone had made their choice. That's when the captain said, "Everyone, let's do what Jonas says." So they decided to pick him up, and then they decided to count by 3. 1, 2, and that's when they said their last goodbyes. "Go up, Jonah. We're gonna miss you." 3. And that's when they threw him off the boat, and that's when he fell in the water. That's when he was sinking all the way down to the bottom half, more like 1.5 feet in the water. And before he can get to the bottom, a whale came in, really gigantic, something like this gigantic whale. And that's when this is Jonah, him trying to struggle how to get to up top of the surface. But then the whale came up, and that's when it swallowed him up all the way to the stomach. And I know you might be saying, "This is crazy. There's no way not one single man can go inside the stomach of a whale." But that, my friend, is true. Back then, Jonah was the first person to get swallowed by a whale, get all the way to the stomach. And that's where the whale tried to swallow him. It was so hard to digest him inside the stomach. And meanwhile, on top of the surface, that's when everything started to go a little normally. That's when ever since the captain was sad and had to let go of Jonah, that's when he noticed up in the sky, the dark clouds were getting lighter and lighter. First it turned black cloud, but then it turned gray. And then it turned a little bit light gray. And then more and more, that's when it started brightening up the sky. Until the lightish gray decided to turn a beautiful white sky. With the blue sky, with white beautiful clouds. And the sun was shining on the boat. And that's when they were surprised and said, "Oh my God, we did it. God is not angry at us anymore. They all celebrate on the boat, but some of the crew was still sad about letting go of Jonah. They were searching the water like this, and he said, "Where is he? Jonah, who are you?" And that's when the other crew said, "I don't see him, he's not coming out of the surface." They don't know what happened, but the most important part, the storm was over thanks to him. And that's when the crew said, "What happened? How come the storm stopped?" And that's when the captain said, "It's because God accepted the sacrifice of Jonah. And now the storm's over. Let's go." Until they rode peacefully. Meanwhile, in the stomach of the whale, Jonah was in there for 3 days. For 3 days. Some of you people might not believe me, but it's true. Jonah did stay in the whale's stomach for 3 days. 3 whole days. It was incredible. It's incredible how the past had secrets that we don't know. But still, meanwhile, in 3 days, Jonah prayed inside his stomach, asking God to forgive him for what he did and give him a second chance. He said, "Lord, please, I didn't mean to not follow the orders, but now I accept the conditions. Please give me a second chance." And that's when, in 3 days, God made his decision. That's when God said to the whale, "My beloved creation, please let go of this man. This man is asking for forgiveness for what he did." And that's when he said another thing. He said that this man is special. He wants you to let go of him so you can shoot him right back where he came from and go and start all over to go in a different path. So he can go to Nineveh and tell everyone of what is bad and good. So the whale had decided to go back to Israel, to his home country. And that's when the whale spit him out. He was flying until he crashed right on this